Oh, the absolute best. And today I'm stepping away from the world of marketing and PR and branding and all that is to sort of explain to brand owners, founders, there are certain things that sort of come first before you even think of marketing. And hear me out, right? Once people start wants to start a brand and they just realize, oh, social media is there, obviously, in form of marketing, in form of branding. There are a whole lot of things, and this is mostly for consumer facing brand. Just because, again, I have experience in this, I've worked with clients in this also, and there are certain loopholes whereby you are not at a point where like you should be thinking of marketing in the first place. When I'm saying marketing, I'm talking about the main act of um, the marketing strategies and certain things, right? Before you start a brand, you should also know your target audience. So all of these things sort of inform marketing. I'm going there. I'm not saying marketing is not important. There are elements to marketing that are important, but there are certain things that are very, very important, which would also help you excel in your marketing and every other aspect of your brand. If this is your jam, stay with me. Write these things down because I've also had like personal experience with this. And to be honest, you can be great at marketing in the first place, but you might necessarily have to take other classes, learn from people, learn from your failures and certain things in other aspects of business because marketing is an aspect of business, it's not the entirety as a whole. And I wrote these things down just because I also didn't want to forget. And yeah, so there are 4 to 5 things depending on the timing, right? And yeah, so again, like I said, this is mostly for consumer brands. And the first thing I'll talk about are your margins. People don't think about this enough. This is also because people want to run away from numbers. There's the idea of owning a business. There's the idea of a brand having a name and a business. And there is another thing running it as a business. So when people, again, I'm talking about consumer goods, a lot of things can also be in the service base, but I'll do a different video for service businesses. When we're talking about margins, we're talking about certain things. So let me use a fashion brand for an example, right? If you already have your suppliers, right? You already have your tailors, you already have your machine. But are you thinking about the housing of your staff? Are you thinking about your labels? Have you added all of those costs? Your deliveries, have you added that into like your cost, your logistics, your wear and tear of your machines, your sketch pad, your designs, your utility bills, your miscellaneous bills, and things that just come about, even down to your marketing expense? Where is this money supposed to come from? Like it's supposed to come from your business. So when people price certain things at certain things and say, oh, they are not making money, it's just that you did not calculate your margins well. And a lot of brands in Nigeria like to use the word luxury, right? We love the word luxury and aesthetics. Are your margins enabling you to position yourself as a luxury brand? Because if you want to do a photo shoot as a luxury brand, it's not cheap. You have your content creators, you have the space, you have your marketing budget, you have your aesthetics, you have your set design, you have like multiple things that you have to think about, right? That's the only way the business will be profitable. So that's why people, most times when people say, oh, I sell luxury this, and people are like, are you joking? What's luxury about it? It's just because there's a disconnect. And before you think of spending money in marketing, you have to take a look at that. So before jumping into like full blown marketing, I think you should think full blown strategy first. Because at that point, you will sort of now understand how you need to position yourself in certain things. Like if you call yourself luxury and you sell hair of certain amount, I'm using hair or like body things that I know about, right? And express a certain way, people are going to be like, it has no business being luxury, to be honest. And this is even you thinking in yourself that, oh, it's cheap and affordable, but you still call yourself luxury. There's an absolute disconnect in how you're positioning your brand. I'm going to also use myself as an example. When I first started Cafe Fresco, I had 3 locations, but I did not consider the factor to factor what those 3 locations look like in terms of staffing, in terms of inventory, in terms of logistics, in terms of just wear and tear of machines, in terms of just things happening. And I was like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. what I can do is to market this brand. There's a whole lot of things I need to sort out. And this is even me after doing like multiple businesses, right? And it was at that point I realized, oh my God, like I really didn't think deep about this. No wonder like certain things were not like aligning. Because again, I would in terms of marketing, I will do that. Like I'm very good at that, right? But then, like, how am I funding the marketing? How are you funding the marketing? How are you funding the so-called photo shoot that you want? How are you funding your stylist? How are you funding your testing in terms of food and all of those things? When we are doing like influencers events, did you take note of that expense into your margins, into your price points, into all of those things? Because again, you just wonder why there is no money. These are the things that are not making the brand profitable. I think the second thing I am also going to talk about is we are very quick to say, oh, you're not my target market, you're not this aesthetics this, aesthetics that. If I hear aesthetics one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. But then again, insight drives aesthetics, right? So you can have a personal taste, it doesn't resonate with your brand. What are you going to do about it? It doesn't resonate with your consumers. What are you going to do about it? It doesn't resonate with people because half of the time you might be or can be the target audience of your brand, right? But how far is that? Like the people in your circle are not the only people that you think will buy your brand. So you have to look at certain things in multiple dimensions to be able to get at the right pace and at the right aesthetics. If you are using personal taste, it's your brand, right? There should be some form of personality in it. I want to see your personality show through in your brand, which is a perfect example of somebody who has done that perfectly is Kai. You can see Fisaya and you can see Kai. You can see Kai and say, okay, I think this is, have an idea of not even know Fisaya, but have an idea of who might be behind the brand, right? Because she was able to do that, number one, there's a personality behind it, and she has the insight of people who looked like her, people who wanted to wear those clothes, people who were tired of the beige trend, people who were tired of, like, I don't know why you'd be tired of colors. I have no idea, but at some point that was what was trending, like the clean girl aesthetics, right? But she knew there were people who were not like that. Like in grand scheme of things, like Nigerians as a whole, we like colors, right? She had those insights of people who would typically buy those things. And at the end of the day, like in the beginning of her brand, right, she also said it that she failed certain things. Her first collection, she really just thought it was going to sell out, but it didn't. So you honestly have to put your personal style aside, have your personality of your brand in your brand, because that's the only way you won't get tired, you won't get bored. But always just know that aesthetics branding is based off of insight and not just personal taste all the time. And to my third one, right? Let me see. What did I write down? Where are you selling? So, in the age of social media, right? People just open an Instagram page and be like, oh, I have a brand, I'm a business owner. Fair enough. That's absolutely true. Fair enough. That's also correct. But you also have to look at it. Why do we still have physical stores? Why do we still have pop-ups? In terms of food, right? In terms of food and delivery, people will still buy food, but if they taste it once and it's not nice, they're not going to come back to buy it again, or they won't sort of order it, right? If you have, if you make structured outfits, like structured outfits, structured clothing, structured outfits that requires tailoring, you can create awareness through social media, right? But you need a physical space where you can test people out, where people can come for their measurements, where people can do certain things. So you can't say you're making tailored outfits and you don't have anywhere that people can come for their measurements, or you don't have some form of communication plan that people will come for their measurements. You're going to lose your target audience and customers, because when we are looking at tailoring, like, or bespoke, like it's made to your body, right? No matter how good you are in terms of measurements, no matter how good your staffs are, nobody is the same thing, right? So as much as I can be a size 16 tomorrow and it is another size 16, but we look completely different. And if we're talking bespoke and tailoring, it won't fit the same way. So in things like that, you need to consider where your target audience is and then where do they like to buy certain things. You should also consider that. And I think my final one, no, yeah, my final one are policies. So a lot of time we like to think we're not affected by government policies, but we're affected by it. So a clear example is the whole DI and then situation from Trump. We also know like Nigeria's economy and things like that. So if you are starting something off in an industry, you need to understand the policies that guide those industries just so you can make informed decisions and also be aware of certain things that you do. Because again, you cannot just go into an industry blindly and not understand how things would affect you in the long run, because those are things that you need to understand in terms of the law, in terms of taxes, in terms of just even all of the stakeholders that sort of align with the things that you do. I think before I round this up, I'll just add one more thing, which is fake timelines and milestones. I've also been a victim of this. Oh my God, when I started Cafe Fresh, called Starbucks was my ultimate playbook, right? But then all of these things that I've listed, I did not take consideration of them in the first place. Because why am I using a Starbucks model? Number one, when I'm bootstrapping, like where is that amount coming from? Where is the manpower coming from? The margins that would enable all of these branches to work, like where is that coming from? In terms of aesthetics, I looked at Starbucks as like the ultimate to certain things, but then I did not see the context of specialty coffee, which is a Nigerian coffee. So imagine wanting to use a Starbucks model with a Nigerian coffee brand. It's not that it's impossible, right? I just did not have those resources and I was not well informed to make those decisions. So just so before you think of marketing, branding, and your brand blowing on social media virality, do you have the capacity for the things that you're chasing? So those are the things I want business owners, especially in the consumer aspect of things, to think about before thinking marketing. PR is the ultimate goal. Anyways, I'll see you next time. I hope you had your coffee today. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Bye. George, I'm done. Thank you.